What's up, guys? It's your boy Swills here, and today we're going to be talking about FIFA 20 Career Mode and why I don't think it's going to be so good. Now, my time is going to be limited here because my phone does not store things as good as they should, so it's going to be a very quick video where I'm going to run through things. If you'd like to follow along with me on what I think about the things that they've added to the Career Mode, you can look at the EA's page of what they've added to FIFA Career Mode, because I'm not going to be talking about it in detail here. I'm more on talking about what they should have added and what they should have fixed. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. Press conferences, I think that press conferences are a nice addition. Nothing major though, although you might say it's major because they've added, the whole visuals and everything to it, as you're seeing on your screen right now. I just don't think that there's something that that people are going to use further into career mode. I think it's something that people are going to use for 5 or 6 games, and then it's just going to get really repetitive. With the whole morale system, I don't think there's going to be an unlimited amount of answers or anything. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a limited amount of selections that you have, and overall they're not going to change the morale of the team or the players that much, which morale is something they've also added to the game. I'll get into that in a second. I just don't think it's something that people are going to use all the time unless they've added a very big selection of questions and answers, as well as being able to single out and individually talk about players. If they're not playing well or playing really well, they should take form into account and performance into account when asking questions so you can give better answers. That's something I don't think that they're going to have in the game. I just don't think that they put in the time for that, but we'll have to wait and see. On morale, I think that morale is something that needed to be tweaked. It's something that's always been in the game. Players have always wanted to leave the club, want to get loaned out, whatever. You get those messages every month, and they're always terrible. Now that morale actually has an impact, how in Madden, if you've ever played Madden, when the player has high morale, their overall is temporarily upgraded. Now apparently they've added that into FIFA in high increments of like 1, 2, 8, 5 in both positive and negatives. I think that's something they should have added. It's something that's now in the game. It's awesome. I think that's actually a pretty big feature. And as long as it's something that doesn't get repetitive either, with players, they don't play one game and they want to leave and their morale goes down a lot. As long as that's not a thing, I think that morale is something that will definitely differentiate career modes from one another and will make it a unique experience, as will the dynamic player potentials that they've added to the game, where players don't really have a potential, rather based on performance, and I would assume age as well. One thing that I would have liked to see is that older players, you see Ronaldo, you see Messi, although Messi's not as old as Ronaldo, of course, and then you have other players like Xavi, Iniesta, Robben, all these players that play deep into their 30s that really didn't decline until their late 30s, which in FIFA does not correlate, whereas a player hits 30 in FIFA, they just drop down in stats. I would like to see players be able to grow as long as they're playing well into their 30s rather than just decline, because according to what I've read and heard, that players will decline in old age regardless. They'll just do it a lot slower as long as you're playing well with them. I just don't think that should be a thing. But anyways, we'll get into the last feature that I want to talk about real quick, which is the manager customization. I think it's nice. I think it's cool. It's a good addition to the game. However, I wish they would have had the ability so you can choose from icons to be managers as well, because I like to be icons and legends. Thierry Henry managing Arsenal, for example, with his real likeness and everything. I wish they would have added that to the game. They already have the player models, the icon models and all that in the game already, so the ability to put them in a suit and tie shouldn't be that difficult, and I think you should be able to choose from those guys as well. But yes, now we talk about the new features they've added, which I'm happy about. I have to talk about the things that you should have fixed within the next 3 minutes, so it's very quick, I'm sorry. But these are things that I think they needed to fix, because I think that the transfer system is incredibly broken, it's incredibly outdated, and I think it's something that they absolutely need to focus on. I have a list of things that they needed to add to the game, to the transfer system, to make it better. We'll start here. Loan to buy, where you can loan a player out and have an option or an obligation to buy at the end of the season. They used to have the loan with the option to buy in the game. I think up to FIFA 18, maybe they stopped in just FIFA 19. They need to bring it back. I don't understand why they took it out in the first place. Bring it back. It's something that happens more and more every transfer window. Bring it back, please. I think you should have the ability to customize your youth players. This really doesn't have to do with transfers. I just wanted to get it out. I think when you have a youth player and you bring him into the academy, since he's not a real player, I think you should have the ability to change their name, what they look like, their hair and everything like that. At least hair, and headbands, wristbands and stuff. I think you should be able to do that as well. But back to the transfer market, I think that players need to have higher values. I think it's kind of ridiculous that you can buy high overall players that are young age. For example, Leroy Sané. You can buy a guy like him for like 60 or 70 million, when in real life you couldn't buy him for less than $130 million. The transfers values are from like 2005, or not 2005, like 2015. I think, if you know the website Transfer Market, I think FIFA should just team up with them and use the values that they have, because Transfer Market's values are very realistic. I don't understand why FIFA can't make them realistic as well. I think that every player should have the ability to leave a club. They added that recently, where, for example, I don't know if you've had the issue with David Neres or João Felix. Once he got better, the club just would not sell that player either because they don't have enough depth, or they think he's a star player. I think every player should be able to leave at the right price. They should just have to indicate that, so you'd have to pay a lot of money. I think players need to have higher wages, as my time is closing down here. Players need to have higher wages. Raheem Sterling, if he goes to a new club, he's going to want $300,000 a week, easy. I heard that they have a wage budget increase for the game for career mode. I think that they need to have players requesting more wages. I think it should be harder to get good players on an average or bad team. So if I'm playing as Watford, I shouldn't be able to buy just 86 overall players off the rip and then win the Champions League 3 seasons later. In terms of kits, I think they need to have retro kits back in the game. Never understood why they took the retro kits out. I think the loans and transfers are unrealistic, especially when I'm getting a loan offer for my younger players from Argentina and Brazil. I just don't understand. That breaks the game completely because they just don't want to leave, and as a result, I'm stuck with those players. They need to fix those. If I want to get offers for my Arsenal players, my Manchester United players, they should be from the Championship, League 1, League 2, etc., in Europe. The board objectives are too unrealistic. Playing, grow a youth player by 10 overall and play them 50% of matches is ridiculous. I think that there should be some reason that you would want to leave the club as a manager of the club. I just think that I think there should be incentives for you to want to move on to a bigger club. That's something I think they need to add to the game as well. I think the AI team should have the ability to have financial takeovers, as we see, for example, Wolves, what they've done over the years. I think sometimes you should see a news article where, big businessman wants to take over championship club. I think that's something they need to do. The delegation for buying players needs to be fixed, because they can do it without bonuses and all that, and it's basically cheating. I think there needs to be buyback clauses. And I think, and this is in terms of the game mechanics itself, the top players need to be better. You see Cristiano Ronaldo scoring 30 goals in real life, when in a sim, he is the top scorer at like 10 goals, 15 goals. Sometimes they're not even on the board. I never understood that. They need to fix statistical correlations between real life and FIFA, because Ronaldo would never have a season where he scores less than 10 goals. That's just ridiculous, and they do that every time. I just don't understand why they do that. I think that there should also be better fans, better atmosphere while you're playing games, and I also would have expected, with the Frostbite engine, I want extreme weather. I want blizzards and not thunderstorms, because that would delay the game, but heavy rain where players are slipping and falling. I want blizzards where you can barely see. They can't add that, but yet at the same time, you're doing a Schalke career mode. You're playing in the Veltins Arena, and you can't even see your players or the ball because it's so sunny in there. I never understood that. But to close it out, the transfer system is still completely broken. I wouldn't be surprised if they haven't touched it since an early FIFA and last-gen consoles. They need to fix the transfer system, and I honestly, if I buy FIFA 20 and it's not fixed, I'm giving the game back, because that's one of the biggest things they needed to fix, along with the Youth Academy. They didn't touch that either. I would have liked to see the ability to have an assistant manager where they give you advice on whether to bring players up or down, or they have I don't think they needed to add like a youth league or anything, because it's just, let's be honest, you're not going to be playing games with your youth team that often. It's just not feasible for them to add a whole nother basically game in the game, if you know what I'm saying. But you should at least have an insight on how players are doing. So, your assistant manager, your youth manager would come to you and say, oh yeah, this guy, this right winger, he's playing fantastic right now. I think you should promote him while he's playing this well. And then you bring him up and he has a morale boost, and then blah, blah, blah. You get what I mean? But overall, that's what I think should be changed to FIFA 20. I'm not super excited about what's to come. I would have explained more of what I had in detail. If you want me to, I will make another video. But please share this video with some of the mainstream FIFA YouTubers, FNG, MGH, Matt HD Gamer, Ches, all those guys that do career mode, because they need to see this so they can get a different insight on what needs to be in the game, because they did miss on a lot of key points, and while there's things to be excited for, there's a lot of things that they missed out on that really should have been included, because adding these materialistic, I guess you could say, features doesn't account for the fact that the core gameplay is still broken. And that's the reason why I stopped playing FIFA 19 career mode, was because transfers were just simply broken. You couldn't buy some players. Some players just would cost too cheap. You know, they're giving you all this transfer budget upgrades in FIFA 19, and then you can just go and buy anyone you want. It's not realistic. You know, there should be way more players that are worth over 100 million, let's be honest. So they need to fix the transfer values for sure, make transfers more realistic, you know, and add more countries for the youth academy, please. Like, I want to get some players from some random countries. Use names that are in the game already. I don't understand why you keep giving us the same 5 names from England and Netherlands, Germany, and all that, when you have hundreds, if not thousands, already to choose from real life players. Just enter them into a database, do a random name generator, and boom, that's it. Simple. And if you're going to have all these customization options to the game, then have the ability to randomly generate these youth players so not a single player will ever be the same. That should be another thing that they add. No one player should ever look the same. They have like 20 base faces that they add to the game for each youth academy, when they could have now thousands based on what they've added to the game. You see this guy right in front of me is a manager, but he could also be a player if the coding was done correctly and they add these custom guys into the game. But anyways, I'm going to cut the video off here. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, share this video, because I would hope EA sees this and can make some last minute changes before the game comes out. I do have the beta, but I'm not going to talk about it or really post any gameplay, because I do have pro clubs. I won't talk about the pro clubs. But yeah, enjoy the video, or I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.